is in the news for nearly a month now, ladies and gentlemen. First, it was the attack on Enforcement Directorate officials, and that too when they had gone to investigate Shahjahan Sheikh, and there was serious assault at their vehicles and also those officials. And now it's the villagers who are coming out and speaking out. They are staging protests demanding the arrest of the Trinamool Congress leader Shahjahan Sheikh and his aides Shiva Prasad Hazra and Uttam Sardar. The villagers have accused the Trinamool Congress strongmen and his aides of torturing them, grabbing their lands and forcing them to work without pay. The victims have recounted the sexual, physical abuse that they have had to face in the area, land grab. There is a fear psychosis, so much so that they are even afraid to lodge a complaint, alleging that even the local police is in cahoots with them. The National Commission for Women, State Women's Panel, National Commission for Scheduled Castes also have visited Sandeshkhali along with the Governor, C.V. Ananda Bose. All this to assess the ground situation. And they have echoed unanimously that the situation in that island area, region of the North 24 Parganas is very, very grim. They are appalled by the situation on ground. But for Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, the story is different. Mamata Devi, who always has echoed Ma Mati Manush and championed this cause, has actually blamed the BJP and the Enforcement Directorate for this entire issue. She claims that BJP workers were wearing face masks and making allegations. She went on to shield the absconding Neta Sheikh Shahjahan, said he's being unfairly targeted by the agencies. But before we debate on the allegations, first listen in to the women whose faces have been blurred to protect their identity and to respect their trauma and their pain by CNN News 18. They have spoken to us without their faces covered, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to what they have to say.
আমি একজনের কাছ থেকে একটা জায়গা নিয়েছিলাম, সেই জায়গাটা আমি তো কোনো পয়সাই পাইনি, জায়গাটা ওরা নিয়ে গেছে। কত জমি জায়গা? 10 কাঠা জায়গা আমি কিনবো বলে টাকা দিয়ে জায়গাটা নিয়েছিলাম, কিন্তু এই টাকাও আমি পাইনি। সেই টাকাটা আবার সেই জমি জায়গাটা আরেকজন নিল।
আমি এখানকার একজন মহিলা, আমাদের এই অত্যাচারকে আমরা বন্ধ করতে চাই, যার জন্য আমাদের আজকে এই মহিলাদের এরকম আন্দোলনে নামা। এই অত্যাচার যারা করছে, শেখ শাহজাহান, শিবু হাজার মতো লোকজন, তাদের সাথে অনেক 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 লোকেরা আছে, যেমন সঞ্জু, রঞ্জু, আমাদের ওখানে দীনবন্ধু আছে, অনেকেই করছে এরকম অত্যাচার। ওরাও ভয় দেখাচ্ছে। এরা অবিলম্বে গ্রেপ্তার করা হোক, আমরা এটাই চাই। আমাদের যেন এরকম অত্যাচার আর সহ্য না করতে হয়।
রাত 12টা নেই, 1টা নেই, ওদেরকে তুলে নিয়ে যাবে যে আমরা এখানে ট্যুরে বেড়াতে যাব, আমাদের এগুলো কেটে দিতে হবে। কোনো রকম মাইনে দিত না, কোনো রকম টাকা দিতে হতো না। সে রাত 12টা হোক, 1টা হোক, জোর জবরদস্তি যেতেই হবে। না গেলে তাদের উপরে অত্যাচার করা হতো, এবং যদি কেউ মুখ খোলার চেষ্টা করতো তাদের বলতো তো স্বামীকে মার্ডার করা হবে এবং তোদেরকে সাদা থান ধরিয়ে দেওয়া হবে। শিশুদের উপরে অত্যাচার করতো, যেমন 12-14 বছরের বাচ্চাদেরকে নিয়ে গিয়ে তাদের হাতে মদের বোতল এবং পিস্তল ধরিয়ে দিত যে রাজনীতির ভেতরে যেতে হবে, রাজনীতি না হলে তোদের ভাত হবে না।
আমাদের এখানে আসেনি, যদিও অন্য অন্য আমাদের গ্রামে ওরা রাত্রিবেলা গিয়ে হুমকি দেখাচ্ছে। তো আমাদেরকে কত সময় হুমকি না দেখাবে এরকম পরিকল্পনা ওরা তো করে রেখেছে, যে গিয়ে এই মহিলাদের ধরতে হবে, ওই মহিলাদের ধরতে হবে, যে তোমরা এই এফআইআর করেছো কেন, এইগুলো তুলে নাও, না হলে তোমাদের উপরে তোমাদেরকে কেস করবো, করবো, সে করবো, এইসব বলছে। পুলিশরা দিনে মানে বলছে যে করো, আর রাত্রিবেলা বলছে কি যে তোমরা কেস তুলে নাও। এইসব চক্রান্ত চালাচ্ছে। আরেকটা, আমার বাড়ি, আমি একটু প্রতিবাদ করেছিলাম বলে আমার বাড়ি ঘর সব ভেঙে দিয়েছে। শিবু হাজারা দুষ্কৃতীরা এসে আমার এই ঘরটর সব ভেঙে দিয়েছে, আর ধান টান সব ছড়িয়ে দিয়েছে, চাল ফেলে দিয়েছে, পাখা যা ছিল মোটামুটি ঘরে আর কিচ্ছু রাখেনি।
NCSC member Anju Balaji joins us now. Anju ji, namaste. Thank you for speaking with us here at CNN News 18. It looks like you're on your way back from Sandeshkhali. What did you see on ground? Aapne kya dekha, ma'am?
देखिए, 12 बजे के करीब 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 12 बजे हाँ, अभी वहीं से हम लोग वापस एयरपोर्ट की तरफ जा रहे हैं अमित जी। और वहाँ पे जब हमने देखा तो अंतर आत्मा तक ये कह सकती हूँ मैं कि हिलने वाला काम हुआ है कि झिंझोड़ के रख दिया उन महिलाओं ने हमको। और वो अपने जो आंसू थे रोक नहीं पाई और गले लग के हमसे रोई और उन्होंने अपनी सारी व्यथा हमको सुनाई। इतना शर्मसार ये घटना है कि सुन के भी रोंगटे खड़े हो जाते हैं जब हम उनसे मिले हैं और उन्होंने अपना दर्द हमें बयां किया। किस तरीके से यहाँ एक सीधे साफ शब्दों में कहेंगे कि सीएम के संरक्षण के बिना तो ये संभव ही नहीं है। वो सीएम मुख्यमंत्री ममता दीदी अपने आप को कहती हैं। ममता नाम तो उन्होंने जरूर अपना रखा, लेकिन उनके अंदर ममता नाम की चीज हमको नहीं दिखती है। अगर दिखती होती तो आज जो हमारी बेटियां शर्मसार हो रही हैं, घर पे जिनके 3-3 दिन से खाना नहीं बना है, और हमें उन्होंने सारी व्यथा बताई कि अभी जो मीडिया में चल रहा, आप लोगों की वजह से ही उन लोगों को हम पहुंच पाए हैं, तो उनको इंसाफ मिलेगा क्योंकि कमीशन उनको इंसाफ दिलाएगा। जो हमने उनकी आपबीती सुनी है, उन्होंने पूरे साफ शब्दों में कहा है कि वो लोग हम लोगों को टार्चर करते हैं। जहां भी हम लोग रास्ते से गुजरते हैं तो उनको जो पसंद आ जाता है वो उसको लेके चले जाते हैं, और हस्बैंड को धमकी दी जाती है कि अब तुम इसको बाहर भी नहीं निकाल सकते हो और रखना चाहते हो तो वो तुम्हारी मर्जी। मतलब इस तरीके की व्यथा उन्होंने सुनाई कि हम लोग खुद समझ नहीं पा रहे आज के टाइम में भी ऐसी घटना होती है। वो मुख्यमंत्री जो अपने आप को बेटे कहती हैं, दीदी कहती हैं, उनके राज में आज हमारी बेटियां सुरक्षित नहीं है। और अनुसूचित जाति के लोग जो वहाँ मछली पालन का काम करते हैं वो लोग, और वो महिलाएं अपना रो रो के दर्द बयां कर रही थी। तो आज हम पूरा कमीशन उनके बीच में फुल कमीशन आया था, हमने विजिट किया और आश्वासन दिलाया है, क्योंकि अभी तक तो ये आता रहा कि ये न्यूज फेक है और ये झूठी बनाई जा रही है। लेकिन मैं मीडिया को धन्यवाद देती हूँ कि अगर आप ये न्यूज नहीं दिखाते तो कमीशन यहाँ नहीं पहुँचता। और आज जो 12 से 13 महिलाएं हमारे सामने आई, उन्होंने अपना दर्द बयां किया और एक लिखित में एक एप्लीकेशन भी उन्होंने हमको दी है, जो कमीशन अभी जाते ही, अभी हमको रात को हम पहुंचेंगे, सुबह हम इमीडिएटली एक्शन करेंगे और नोटिस जारी करेंगे। और इसमें डीजीपी चीफ सेक्रेटरी को भी यहाँ से समन करना पड़ेगा, तो कमीशन करेगा।
जी अंजू जी, मैं आनंद बोल रहा हूँ और मैं बस आपसे ये और भी जानना चाहूँ, आपने कहा 12-13 महिलाओं से आपकी बात हुई। कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ी देर पहले ममता बनर्जी जी ने कहा है कि बीजेपी के कार्यकर्ता मास्क लगाकर ऐसे बयान दे रहे हैं। इसमें कितनी सत्यता है? राजनीतिकरण का आरोप लग रहा है।
देखिए, ये तो अब मुख्यमंत्री को हम क्या कहें कि अगर आपको इतना लग रहा है बीजेपी के कार्यकर्ता हैं और मास्क लगाए, मास्क नहीं लगाए उन्होंने। हमारे साथ मीडिया के भाई भी थे, सभी लोग थे। हमने ही उनको कहा कि आप अपना चेहरा ढक लीजिए, क्योंकि समाज के सामने हम जानते हैं कि बेटियों के लिए क्या क्या नहीं देखना पड़ता है, समाज किस नजर से देखता है। हम ही ने उनको कहा था और मीडिया के मेरे भाई वहीं पे थे जब मैंने उनका मुंह खुद कवर किया। वो कोई मास्क लगा के नहीं आई थी, मैंने दुपट्टे से उनका चेहरा कवर किया। मैंने कहा ये चेहरे नहीं सामने आने चाहिए, क्योंकि वो ऑलरेडी डरी सहमी थी। और ये तो बिल्कुल कहेंगे कि अपने गुनाह को छुपाने के लिए आप कह रहे हैं कि वो बीजेपी के कार्यकर्ता थे। हमारे उसमें आप ये सीधे सीधे देखेंगे कि हम तो किसी पार्टी से रिलेटेड नहीं है, क्योंकि हमारा तो कमीशन है और कमीशन का काम होता है इन लोगों को, अपने अनुसूचित जाति के लोगों को सेफ गार्ड करना। और हम लोग आए और ये बिल्कुल मैं इसको नकारती हूँ, क्योंकि मैं चाहती हूँ कि मीडिया तो ग्राउंड रिपोर्ट कर ही रहा है और आप उनका साथ दे ही रहे हो, और आपकी इस न्यूज का और आप लोगों की वजह से आज इन लोगों को इंसाफ मिल पाएगा। और एक उन्होंने बात मैं आपके साथ साझा करूंगी कि उन्होंने सभी बहनों ने ये भी कहा कि अभी आप लोग चले जाएंगे, उसके बाद हमारा क्या होगा।
आपने ये कहा, उन्होंने ये पूछा है कि आप लोग चले जाएंगे उसके बाद हमारा क्या होगा।
जी आनंद जी, उन्होंने हमें ये पूछा और वो डरी हुई थी और उन्होंने कहा कि अब आप चले जाएंगे, अब हमारा क्या होगा। और मैं ये जरूर कहना चाहती हूँ कि मीडिया चौथा स्तंभ है और सुरक्षा कवच बन के खड़ा है, क्योंकि अब मुख्यमंत्री जी को ये खुद उनको ये, क्योंकि हम नहीं है, पूरा देश इसको जान चुका है और पूरा देश ये माफ भी नहीं करेगा कि ऐसे प्रदेश में हमारी बेटियों के साथ, हमारी महिलाओं के साथ ये दशा हो रही है। अगर उन पे आंच भी आ गई, उनका बाल भी बांका हो गया, तो कमीशन एक्शन लेने में अभी हम ले रहे हैं और उसके बाद भी हम नहीं छोड़ेंगे। और अब तो देश देख रहा है, आप उन पे आंच भी नहीं आएगी, ये हमने उनको आश्वासन दिया है।
जी अंजू जी, आपने 12-13 महिलाओं से बात की, आप थोड़ा सा जब आप बात कर रही हैं तभी आपके इससे एक इमोशन, एक व्यथा झलक रही है। मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूँ कुछ ऐसी बात जिनका उनका नाम लिए बिना अगर आप वर्णन कर सके, उन्होंने क्या क्या एलिगेशन लगाया? क्या उन्होंने सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट का एलिगेशन लगाया है? क्या उन्होंने ज़मीन हड़पने का एलिगेशन लगाया? किस तरह के अपराध उनके खिलाफ उनके साथ किए गए हैं और क्या उन्होंने कुछ लोगों के नाम लिए?
आनंद जी, बिल्कुल उन्होंने नाम लिए हैं और 5 जो एप्लीकेशन उन्होंने हमें दी है उसमें 5 नाम उन्होंने हमको दिए भी हैं। और जो पहली वाली महिला हमको मिली थी उन्होंने बिल्कुल निसंकोच मुंह पे दुपट्टा रख के अपना, मैंने उनको क्योंकि ढक दिया था, उन्होंने पूरे नाम लिए, खुलासा किया। और ये भी मतलब हमें भी, मैं भी थोड़ा सा इमोशनली हो गई थी क्योंकि एक स्वाभाविक था, एक महिला है, उसकी माँ भी थी साथ में, तो एक स्वाभाविक था वो एकदम मेरे लिए भी क्षण। मैंने ऐसा कभी, तो आज तक मैं हिंदुस्तान के कोने कोने में गई हूँ, मैं मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट भी रही हूँ, कमीशन में भी अब मुझे 3 साल होने जा रहा है, मैं जगह जगह जाती हूँ, लेकिन इस तरीके की घटना मतलब ऐसा लगता ही नहीं है मैं अपने देश में हूँ। ऐसा लगता है हम लोग पाकिस्तान जाओ, मुझे लग रहा पश्चिम वहां पे क्या बोलते हैं उसको,
वेस्ट पाक
अन्य ऐसे हाँ ऐसे मैं देश में खड़ी हूँ कि वहां पे महिला अपना दर्द कैसे बयां कर रही हैं। और मुझे कहने में गुरेज नहीं है, हम राष्ट्रपति से हम लोग कल मिलने जा रहे हैं फुल कमीशन। हम चाहते हैं यहाँ पे राष्ट्रपति शासन लागू होना चाहिए, क्योंकि जो महिला सुरक्षा ही नहीं दे सकती, जो सरकार सुरक्षा ही नहीं दे सकती, क्योंकि ये एक केस नहीं है, एक केस में हम पहले भी आ चुके हैं, उसमें भी इन्होंने सिर्फ उनके साथ ही नहीं किया। हम लोग जैसे आए हैं, हम लोगों का प्रोटोकॉल होता है, हम लोगों का स्टेट गेस्ट डिक्लेयर होता है, इन्होंने हम लोगों को आने के लिए पूरी कोशिश कर ली, हम ना पहुंचे, फिर भी हम आए, इन्होंने हम लोगों को कोई सुविधा नहीं दी। हम लोग अपना जैसे भी हम लोग वहां पहुंचे, हम लोग पूरा दिन वो करके आज इवनिंग में हम लोग अभी लौट रहे हैं। लेकिन ये शर्मसार करने वाली वो घटना है जहां कमीशन को भी आने से रोका जा रहा है, जिससे किसी कोई पार्टी से मतलब नहीं होता है, सिर्फ हमें सुरक्षा कवच बन के आना होता है अपने अनुसूचित जाति के लिए। लेकिन ये यहीं पे देख के लगता है कि अगर अनुसूचित जाति के साथ इनका व्यवहार ऐसा है तो यहाँ के लोग, जो हमारे लोग हैं, जो हमारी महिलाएं हैं, वो कतई सुरक्षित नहीं है। तो हम तो यही मांग करेंगे कि यहाँ तत्काल राष्ट्रपति शासन लगाया जाए। और
तो आप कह रहे हैं कि आप राष्ट्रपति जी को भी एक रिपोर्ट सौंपने वाले हैं, पूरा कमीशन जाने वाला है, ये कब जाने वाले हैं? क्योंकि आपका एक मैंने बयान पढ़ा कि आपको वहां के पुलिस पर भी भरोसा नहीं है, आपने पुलिस पर भी इल्जाम लगाए हैं कि उन्होंने मदद नहीं की।
बिल्कुल हम कहेंगे, हमें कहने में कोई उसमें नहीं है, क्योंकि हम लोग जब गए हैं, जो महिलाएं वहां की थी, जो हमारी बहनें थी, वो कह रही थी कि यही पुलिस, क्योंकि पिछली बार पे हम एक गांव था जिसमें हम लोग गए थे, तो पुलिस ने ही सारे घर तोड़े हुए थे, वहां लगभग 100 घर तोड़ा हुआ था। और अभी भी वहां पे उन महिलाओं ने चीख के कहा है, आप लोग जब चले जाएंगे और यही पुलिस हम पे अत्याचार करेगी। लेकिन मैं फिर वो बात दोहराऊंगी, और मैंने उनको बहुत समझाने की कोशिश की है कि आप डरिए मत, और हम लोग आपके साथ है, कमीशन आपके साथ में है, और जो आप लोग सभी न्यूज दे रहे हैं, क्योंकि अभी तक मुझे लगता है आपके इसी चौथे स्तंभ के कारण उनको अभी तक इनका बस चलता है, तो शायद वो बयान देने के काबिल भी नहीं होती, क्योंकि वो डरे सामी सिर्फ 12 से 13 लोग आए हैं। उन्होंने हमें एक बात और भी बोली कि हम ही नहीं है, ये गाँव के लगभग हर महिला इससे पीड़ित है। तो कमीशन इसमें एक्शन लेगा, और कल हम राष्ट्रपति जी से 11:20 का हमारा टाइम है, हम लोग राष्ट्रपति से मिलने जा रहे हैं, और सारी बातें हम वहाँ रखें।
जी अंजू बाला जी,
वही रहेगी जो सरकार काम नहीं कर सकती है और उनको रहने का अधिकार नहीं होगा।
जी अंजू बाला जी, हमसे बात करने के लिए धन्यवाद। आपकी डिटेल्ड रिपोर्ट का हमें इंतजार रहेगा, उसको वी विल पुट इट आउट एंड शेयर इट विद आवर व्यूअर्स आल्सो। थैंक यू वेरी मच, थैंक यू फॉर स्पीकिंग विद अस।
थैंक यू।
So that was Anju Bala, member of the NCSC, ladies and gentlemen, and she is quite shocked. Governor C.V. Ananda Bose spoke with us here on the right stand. Anju Bala, member of the NCSC, spoken with us, and they have all narrated their version and within the limits or remits of their remit, ladies and gentlemen, if I may say so. They have tried to hold back a lot, but they have got written complaints and names. There are allegations and counter allegations flying thick and fast. But is this a gross violation and annihilation, ladies and gentlemen, of basic human rights of the people? Is this the Azad Bharat or the Naya Bharat that we are all talking about and we all want to look at? Is this the Viksit Bharat roadmap for 2047? That's the big question. Can we believe that this is happening in our own country? Based on what the accounts are, and we've played out what the ladies there on ground are saying, the women there are saying. Anirban Banerjee, political analyst, joins us. Dipta Shajash, writer and activist with us, and Dr. Anand Ranganathan, analyst, commentator, author with us. Namaste, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat to all the gentlemen. Dipta Shajash, you've made out a few accounts of what's happening in Sandeshkhali, and somewhere the inference is that this is not a recent phenomenon.
Yes. Let me, Anand, first of all, let me tell it very categorically. What is happening in Sandeshkhali or many parts in West Bengal adjacent to the border of Bangladesh, it is not politics. It is not political fight. It is not political rivalry. It is a design to change the demography of those areas so that those areas, geographically it will be in India, but demographically they will be part of Bangladesh. It is a Jamaat design which is in action. And I tell you, this legacy, Sheikh Shajan is basically carrying a legacy. He is carrying the legacy of the likes of Majid Master, Ichal Askar, the same thing he used to do in Sonakhali area, which is adjacent to Sandeshkhali. That if any man gets married, you need to first send your newly married wife to him or to his henchmen. They will keep them for days and then they will return. Same thing is being done here by Sheikh Shajan and the gang also. So it's a legacy that Sheikh Shajan is carrying from, and this legacy is continuing from mid-80s to till date. And now, when the...
So, how is this connected to the demographic altering of this entire region, as you said? One is brazen Gundagardi and Gunda Raj and Jungle Raj. Second is a serious allegation that you make that there is a design, a deeper design to demographically alter this entire place so that it remains geographically under Bharat, but demographically it becomes Bangladesh. And you're saying the Jamaat design behind this. Why do you say that? Because one is brazen Gundaraj, one is anarchy and brazen Gundaraj and lawlessness, law of the jungle, etc. That's the one aspect that you talked about, Sheikh Shahjahan following a design like in Sonakhali with Majid Master, etc. But the other point that you raised first is a far more devious design that you're talking about beyond just the absence of law and order in an area. Yes.
Yes. The absence of law and order in that area, it is also by design. So that these kinds of Sheikh Shahjahan, they can create their own rule and they can put absolute, they can capture the whole area. If you know, this Sheikh Shahjahan is also linked to bring in illegal Rohingyas to that area. These areas are in Sundarban. The border here is very complicated and it is like connected with river. You cannot put a fence. So it is very easy for anyone to come from Bangladesh and get settled down here. I will tell you, mainly two kind of people coming here. One is the persecuted Hindus of Bangladesh. They are coming down here and getting settled down. And the other is the illegal immigrants of Bangladesh, the majority religion of Bangladesh who are coming here and getting settled down. Now the persecuted Hindus who are coming here, they are poor. They are basically the persecuted Janjatis of West Bangladesh. They do not have any money. But if anyone from the majority religion of Bangladesh comes to here, that means it is a 2 to 3 lakhs rupees income for a TMC leader. First, that guy will get the ration card, which is on recommendation of a TMC leader, a panchayat member, or a MLA, or a MP. Next, based on that ration card, he will get a voter card, and then he will get a Aadhaar card, and finally they will get their passport. So all total, if you calculate around 50 to 60,000 for each of these document, it is around 3 lakhs. So it is that much money involved, and that's why TMC is keeping a blind eye to this because they get the majority portion from this income. This Sheikh Shahjahan, he was a cleaner of a truck around 20 years back, and now he is around having around 500 crore rupees property. You tell me in which economical rule it is possible.
It's the left and Trinamool Congress rule in Bengal where everybody can become prosperous. A truck cleaner can own 500 crores. Deeptasya Josh.
Yeah, and
Ani-
they and then they cannot they cannot face the ED, or they cannot disclose their source of income.
Yeah, but on the one hand, there is this money-making aspect or the corruption aspect. But to allow the demographic deviation of our country and changing of a country, a demographic full genocide, if it would be a very hard term to use, but a demographic altering, let's say, of a particular region and of our own country, why would any political party or its leader want that? Anirban Banerjee, what would you say before I bring in Dr. Anand Ranganathan?
Anand, don't you think we should immediately replace the raw chief, the present raw chief, with Mr. Deeptasya Josh? Because the kind of information he claims to have, even the raw with its glorious past, with its glorious history, does not possess any kind of information of this kind. The demographic change, the devious plans, the Rohingyas in numbers coming in. Where are the reports of the raw? I mean, what is the Home Ministry exactly doing? The Home Ministry, the union level, is not controlled by the TMC. It's controlled by Mr. Amit Shah right now. And for almost the last 10 years, it's under the BJP rule. Can you please show us a single report that there have been thousands and millions of Rohingyas coming in, demographic change, devious plans? I mean, even a James Bond flick would be less interesting than the story that Mr. Deeptasya Josh has laid down. Let me categorically refute these kind of nonsensical claims. There are so many logical gaps in his narrative that even I don't know what he thinks while speaking on a television as big as yours. I think people would actually laugh at him. Even BJP supporters don't take him seriously. The claims that he is making, let me just point out the logical flaws one by one. Number one, regarding Sheikh Shah Jahan bringing in Rohingyas, changing the demography and all, there's not a single report on the government level, number one. Number two, even the BJP itself, before the ED ruckus happened on January 5th, did not speak a single line about Rohingyas coming in, demographic getting changed, Sheikh Shah Jahan, this and that. Mr. Shubhendu Adhikari is one of the most important leaders of the BJP right now. He was in the Trinamool Congress for almost the last 10-12 years, up till 2020 December. He did, even after switching sides, not for a single moment while being on a campaign in the South 24 Parganas or North 24 Parganas in the Sundarban area, ever mentioned a single line about anything that Deeptasya Josh is saying today. Yes, he said that Sheikh Shah Jahan is corrupt. He said that ED will go after him. That is the same narrative that he always says, that he says the CBI will go, the ED will go, and they do according to whatever he directs. That is a different issue. But whatever claims Mr. Josh is making tonight, has a single BJP leader ever said that before today or maybe before a few weeks back? Madam Archana Majumdar is a BJP leader. She is in charge of Sandeshkhali area for the last 3 years. That is something she has herself claimed. That is not my claim.
Right.
Even she never said anything of this kind ever before this ruckus started to happen. Number three, Bikash Singh, a BJP leader from the same area who got arrested a couple of days back, 4 or 5 days back. Even that person, who is a local person, he is not from Kolkata, he is not from any other district, he is a local person, even that guy never mentioned anything of this sort. So therefore, the BJP, the RSS, they are simply trying to make up something. They are concocting their own narrative. These Rohingya,
if you will yield,
Bangladesh,
Deeptasya Josh wanted to respond.
But this is very comical to say the least.
And then I'll go to Dr. Ranganathan. Yes, and we've got an update on Shukanta Majumdar also. I'll just share that in a bit. Yes, Deeptasya, you wanted to respond.
No, I didn't know that Anirban is having tea or coffee every day with Raw Chief so that he knows what Raw is reporting or what Raw is discussing. I didn't know that. I am glad to know that he is having discussion every day with Raw Chief. But I will remind you one incident. After 2019 Lok Sabha election, Sheikh Shah Jahan and his gang they killed Pradeep Mandal and 6 other guys. 5 bodies could not be found. And that time, Pradeep Mandal's family, they filed a FIR against Sheikh Shahjahan. And in that FIR, they have very categorically mentioned that Sheikh Shahjahan in his gang has Rohingyas, and those Rohingyas has came to their locality and they killed Pradeep Mandal. So it is there in record. Anirban has forgot it. And next, I am not here to talk of BJP, but I will tell you, BJP has again and again has made this claim that Sheikh Shahjahan and TMC is corroborating to getting the illegal Rohingyas in that area.
Right.
And not only to that areas, they have brought in Rohingyas in areas like Malda, Dinajpur, and even in areas, areas adjacent to Kolkata in Baripur.
Please yield. But according to Mr. Anirban, the law and order, despite being a state subject, it is the central raw chief and the central home ministry and not the home minister of Bengal who's responsible. The home minister of Bengal has also been home minister of Bengal for more than a decade now. But there is no responsibility upon the home minister of Bengal. It's all upon the central ministry and the central home minister and the RNAW. So that's what Mr. Anirban Banerjee believes.
When an border is in,
sir, law and order is a state subject. The people of Bengal should be so there is an equal responsibility within the state also what is happening. If there are illegals, the state should raise the concern. The same Ms. Mamata Banerjee, back when she was part of the NDA, she has claimed that illegal Bangladeshis under CPM rule were infesting Bengal, and she had wanted implementation of a law strict enough to ensure that illegals are out of Bengal. At that time, the same Mamata Banerjee had raised this concern in Parliament. So the same aspect, right? Illegals were in Bangladesh, right? And she wanted a law there. Just an update before I bring in Dr. Ranganathan. A notice dated 15th of February 2024 has been given by Dr. Shukanta Majumdar, MP, for alleged misconduct, brutality and causing life-threatening injuries to him by police officials and district administration of Bashirhat, North 24 Parganas district of Bengal. This has just come in and I'm reading it out. Breach of privilege and violation of protocol norms, oral evidence of the following officials. Oral affidavit, Shri Bhagwati Prasad Gopalika, IAS Chief Secretary, Government of West Bengal, Shri Sharat Kumar Dwivedi, IAS District Magistrate, North 24 Parganas, Shri Rajiv Kumar, IPS DGP, IGP, Government of Bengal, Dr. Hussain Mehdi Rahman, Superintendent of Police, Bashirhat, and Shri Partha Ghosh, Additional SP, Bashirhat. They have all been named. Lok Sabha Privilege Committee, 10:30 a.m. on the 19th of February. They have been summoned to Parliament. And this includes the DJP. So this is the big news that's just come in on the right stand, and just putting it out. That's we've just got this update. We'll flash it on our screens also. But Dr. Ranganathan, what is your assessment of what is happening in Sandeshkhali?
Good evening, Anand, and good evening to my fellow panelists. I heard Anirban Da, my good friend, mocking the illegal immigration into Bengal, mocking Mr. Doval and others. Let me now quote someone. Quote, the illegal immigration into Bengal has become a disaster now. Something would have to be done. Bangladeshis are on my voter list. Unquote. And after the person said this, she tore papers and flung it at the speakers. Do you know who the person was? Anirbanda? It was Mamata Banerjee. How times change. Now you're going to mock her as well.
And the year?
No.
And the year was?
The year was 2005. The year was 2005.
Right. 20 years back.
So after that, you mean to say in 20 years no immigration happened?
Illegal, no, not immigration, illegal. The word illegal, the word entry of illegals into Bharat, and this entire racket. Many of our viewers from Bengal are watching right now. Dr. Ranganathan, you've been interrupted. I'll come back to you. They are saying what was happening under the left rule and was alleged by Ms. Mamata Banerjee is brazenly happening under the Trinamool Congress now. That's what they are alleging. Viewers from Bengal, viewers who've lived in that region, they are the ones saying this. But Dr. Ranganathan, continue.
I want to say this. It's a very serious matter, and I don't think any one of us should mock this, because ultimately, Anand, how many Bengal stories will you hide? You hid the Bengal post-poll violence. You hid the murderous attack on ED officials. You hid the Ram Navami violence. the COVID truth intimidation, the suppression of freedom of speech and expression, the slapping of UAPA on activists, the sedition charges on journalists, the political murders, the ethnic cleansing. You made Bengal the proverbial and literal Eden Gardens. Will you also hide the systematic sexual assault and torture of scores of women at the hands of TMC leaders? Where are all those New York Times and Washington Post lapdog reporters who accuse Modi of killing democracy at the drop of a hat? Where are they hiding? In which corner of Khan Market middle lane are they covering right now? Are you going to hide the suo motu cognizance also of the Calcutta High Court on Sandeshkhali? The assaults on gunpoint as told to the court and the judge? Anand, the writing was on the wall. Remember the boast of TMC's Fareed Hakim recently that, quote, this area is mini Pakistan, as though this was something to be proud of. But then it was TMC Sheikh Alam who had boasted that 4 Pakistans can be created if 30% Muslims come together. And now the signs are increasingly ominous. You remember the recent horrible violence in Havda in response to Nupur Sharma? How long before, Anand, the slogans equivalent to Ralif, Salif, Galif are heard in Kolkata like they were in Kashmir 30 years ago? Violence in Bengal has been given a free run. Please realize this, both by the government there and much of the media. The signs go as far back as 2018 during the Bengal Panchayat elections. 20,076 seats in the Panchayat polls went uncontested. Uncontested. That's 34% of total seats. Remember the 2019 Diamond Harbour violence that led Hindu families to flee? Fast forward to 2022 and the severe indictment of the West Bengal government by the Calcutta High Court should have shamed the TMC and its Albert Spears. There's no other way to describe them. But nothing happened. The fact that the court noted the police had not registered the FIR in 60% of the cases was troubling beyond measure. In para after para, sentence after sentence, the court blasted the Bengal government. The court can no longer be a mute spectator, it said. Remember, blood-curdling affidavits by victims of Bengal violence were ignored by those who claim they speak truth to power. Media was scared, judges were recusing, and those human rights activists and the Roys and the Setalwads, they wake up only when victims are not Hindu women. The journalists and activists keep saying, we speak truth to power, we speak truth to power. But in reality, Anand, they speak truth only to Modi, not when those in power are Mamata. They dismiss the violence and exodus and retribution as orchestrated by the BJP like they're doing right now. But multiple instances of violent attacks and murder were also reported by Congress and CPIM. So the BJP was colluding with the communists now? Sitaram Yechuri is a Sanghi? That's why, Anand, I call them children of Goebbels. Because it was Goebbels who said, the first rule of propaganda is to accuse the other of what you're guilty of. They whitewash their own crimes with the help of their media stooges. They whitewash religious fundamentalism and fanaticism if the religion is not Hinduism. They whitewash application of draconian laws when it suits them. They peddle fraudulent reports that claim India is no longer a democracy. Go on then. Hide even Sandeshkhali. But when you sleep tonight, think of those mothers and sisters who gathered the courage to not hide this horror anymore. Not anymore.
So if that's the case, let me ask you, the very, very, very fervent appeal that you have made and a deposition that you have made, Dr. Ranganathan, if that is the case, why did Bengal vote for Mamata Banerjee after 2019? Why is it that CAA rule notification has not yet happened and CAA laws have not been enforced to give the rights to Bengali, those who have sought refuge in Bengal from Bangladesh, who have fled Bangladesh? The Motuas have been here for nearly more than 3 decades now, 3.5 decades now, Dr. Ranganathan. What has happened there? The promise for CAA and notification of the rules, and especially for Bengal and the northeast region, especially those who have been plagued by this kind of illegal migration or fleeing from persecution across the neighbouring states, was made back in 2019. We are in 2024. Those rules have not yet been notified.
Yes, Anand, 3 points here. Number 1, democracy, as I've said very often, is not so much as the defeat of the elected as it is the defeat of the electorate. When sometimes you just have to grin and bear it. The fact of the matter also is that the centre has conducted itself shamefully. And I'm not just talking of the post-poll Bengal violence, where scores of BJP's own Karyakartas were butchered and the BJP did nothing. I'm not talking of the daily intimidation, the daily butchering of people, innocents in Bengal, and the BJP not doing anything. But I take you back right now to the beginning of this program and thank you. Thank you for interviewing Dr. Bala. She is from the National Commission of Scheduled Castes. This is a government body. She is not affiliated to any party. Do you remember what she said? She said she is going right now to the President of India to recommend President's rule. Now, when she does it,
Do you think the center is going to agree to that? It's just one plain question. Unfortunately, no.
Deeptasha Josh wanted to say something. Deeptasha, what the people in Sandeshkhali are saying is, the cameras are here, you are here today, when you are gone tomorrow, what's going to happen to us?
No, it is not tomorrow. It is not tomorrow. Every night, police and the Shahjahan gang is going house to house, door to door, and threatening them. You know, the State Women Commission, when they went there, what they said, when the women there complained about the sexual harassment, Papia Sultana of State Women Commission asked them to show the medical proof. So they think that the Shahjahan gang, they will rape, they will sexually harass a woman, and then they will so kind enough that they will give them the medical proof. Whereas the police is not, the women are saying that if they goes to the police tell them that don't come to us, go to Sheikh Shahjahan or Shibu Hajra and settle the matter there. And I will tell you, even it is about not only about the women, the children, the boys who are 12 years, 14 years old, they have been forcefully stopped from going to school
that directly,
or to colleges.
POXO directly applies there. Correct me if I am wrong. POXO directly applies there if there are minors involved and such.
Whatever.
No, but if that is what is happening, sir, then who's doing something about it? And if it is happening under the watch of Mamata Didi, who is the Home Minister of Bengal, and what is happening even in one pocket of Bengal, if this is true, out of scores of complaints, even if one or two of them are true, there is land that's been shown here on CNN News 18 on record, which was ponds which have now been dried up and they had been taken over by the land grabbers. There is crime that's happening. You may say this is false, that's propaganda, but there is truth. There is harassment that's happened. Where is the justice for these ladies? That's the big question. Before I wind up this segment here on the right stand and move on to our next story, would like to play out what the women of Sandeshkhali had to tell the News 18 network. Can we play that again, please, before we wind up?
আমি একজনের কাছ থেকে একটা জায়গা নিয়েছিলাম, সেই জায়গাটা আমি তো কোনো পয়সাই পাইনি, জায়গাটা ওরা নিয়ে গেছে। কত জমি জায়গা? 10 কাঠা জায়গা আমি কিনবো বলে টাকা দিয়ে জায়গাটা নিয়েছিলাম, কিন্তু এই টাকাও আমি পাইনি। সেই টাকাটা আবার সেই জমি জায়গাটা আরেকজন নিল।
আমি এখানকার একজন মহিলা, আমাদের এই অত্যাচারকে আমরা বন্ধ করতে চাই, যার জন্য আমাদের আজকে এই মহিলাদের এরকম আন্দোলনে নামা। এই অত্যাচার যারা করছে, শেখ শাহজাহান, শিবু হাজরার মতো লোকজন, তাদের সাথে অনেক লোকেরা আছে, যেমন সঞ্জু, রঞ্জু, আমাদের ওখানে দীনবন্ধু আছে, অনেকেই করছে এরকম অত্যাচার। ওরাও ভয় দেখাচ্ছে। এরা অবিলম্বে গ্রেপ্তার করা হোক, আমরা এটাই চাই। আমাদের যেন এরকম অত্যাচার আর সহ্য না করতে হয়।
রাত 12টা নেই, 1টা নেই, ওদেরকে তুলে নিয়ে যাবে যে আমরা এখানে ট্যুরে বেড়াতে যাব, আমাদের এগুলো কেটে দিতে হবে। কোনো রকম মাইনে দিত না, কোনো রকম টাকা দিতে হতো না। সে রাত 12টা হোক, 1টা হোক, জোর জবরদস্তি যেতেই হবে। না গেলে তাদের উপরে অত্যাচার করা হতো, এবং যদি কেউ মুখ খোলার চেষ্টা করতো তাদের বলতো তোর স্বামীকে মার্ডার করা হবে এবং তোদেরকে সাদা থান ধরিয়ে দেওয়া হবে। শিশুদের উপরে অত্যাচার করতো, যেমন 12-14 বছরের বাচ্চাদেরকে নিয়ে গিয়ে তাদের হাতে মদের বোতল এবং পিস্তল ধরিয়ে দিত যে রাজনীতির ভেতরে যেতে হবে, রাজনীতি না হলে তোদের ভাত হবে না।
আমাদের এখানে আসেনি, যদিও অন্য আমাদের গ্রামে ওরা রাত্রিবেলা গিয়ে হুমকি দেখাচ্ছে, তো আমাদেরকে কত সময় হুমকি না দেখাবে এরকম পরিকল্পনা ওরা তো করে রেখেছে, যে গিয়ে এই মহিলাদের ধরতে হবে, ওই মহিলাদের ধরতে হবে, যে তোমরা এই এফআইআর করেছো কেন, এইগুলো তুলে নাও, না হলে তোমাদের উপরে তোমাদেরকে কেস করবো, করবো, সে করবো, এইসব বলছে। পুলিশরা দিনে মানে বলছে যে করো, আর রাত্রিবেলা বলছে কি যে তোমরা কেস তুলে নাও, এইসব চক্রান্ত চালাচ্ছে। আরেকটা, আমার বাড়ি, আমি একটু প্রতিবাদ করেছিলাম বলে আমার বাড়ি ঘর সব ভেঙে দিয়েছে। শিবু হাজারার দুষ্কৃতীরা এসে আমার এই ঘরটর সব ভেঙে দিয়েছে, আর ধান টান সব ছড়িয়ে দিয়েছে, চাল ফেলে দিয়েছে, পাখা যা ছিল মোটামুটি ঘরে আর কিচ্ছু রাখেনি।
another interesting part that has been directed by the Supreme Court, that political parties will have to refund the amount to the voters, whatever electoral bonds are lying uncashed with them. So when a person buys an electoral bond, he has 15 days to donate it to a political party, and then the political party encashes that electoral bond from the SBI. But whatever uncashed amount is there, that amount will have to be refunded. We don't know how much that uncashed amount will be, but that amount will have to be refunded to whoever has donated that money. Also politically, this is definitely a setback to the BJP, because the BJP had been, defending this scheme. In fact, the government in the Supreme Court, if I quote what Tushar Mehta had told the court, he has said that the focus of the scheme was to ensure anonymity. Not to ensure anonymity. He said the focus of the scheme was not at all to ensure anonymity, but to ensure confidentiality, because he said there was an apex court decision itself of 2019 that recognized the right of privacy as a fundamental right. So he argued that the donors also have a right to privacy. Unless the information is of genuine public interest, in that case people could approach the court. But definitely the Supreme Court has taken a different view here. It has said that the interest of the voter to know who donated to the political party he wants to vote for, the candidate he is voting for, is more paramount. So that is what I think the distinction that the Supreme Court has drawn here. And the electoral bond scheme, another point which was very significant in the electoral bond scheme, that you could purchase it for any value in multiples of 1,000, 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakh or 1 crore. And the allegation of the petition also was that most of the electoral bonds which have been bought are of higher denomination. So it is mostly the corporates and the private companies which may have bought these electoral bonds and make donation to political parties. Is there a chance of quid pro quo also? Because the donation is completely anonymous. So nobody apart from the government knows who is contributing to whom. So this is another point that in fact the petitioners had raised, that there is nothing in the scheme which connects the donations are actually made towards participation in the electoral process, because there is no way to monitor how the political parties spend that money which they get through electoral bond. It may not just be on election, may not be something else also. So all these points were raised by the petitioners before the court, and now the striking down of the electoral bond scheme as unconstitutional is a big development ahead of the Lok Sabha elections. This will have its impact on various political parties and setback to the BJP. Let's see how the party and the government respond to this. But coming ahead of the Lok Sabha elections, this is definitely something which will dominate the political discourse now. And especially if the list of the donors and the entire donations made under the electoral bond scheme are made public by the Election Commission of India, as has been directed by the Supreme Court. So in a big judgment today, the Supreme Court of India has struck down the electoral bond scheme. It has said the electoral bond scheme is against the right to information of voters. It is not the only scheme to tackle black money. This is a major step by the Supreme Court today. One, it is a unanimous judgment, so this will have wide political ramifications. The opposition would see this as a big win for it ahead of the Lok Sabha elections, because this is something that the opposition parties, the left, the Congress have been strongly fighting against, saying that this scheme is full of opaqueness. It increases corporate donations to political parties in power, and the allegation also from the Congress and from other parties in the left was the opposition ecosystem. In fact, the opposition political parties was that
Back on the right stand, ladies and gentlemen, with the landmark judgment on political funding that was announced or pronounced by the Honorable Supreme Court that termed electoral bond scheme or e-bonds as unconstitutional, as it violates the constitutional right to freedom of speech and expression as well as the right to information. The court also asked political parties to refund the money received and has asked the SBI to submit data on bonds. The Apex Court further stated that the centre's justification of tackling black money through electoral bonds is not justified. The opposition has claimed vindication over the order. On the other hand, a government source, while speaking with News 18, has asked, what about the legal rights of the donors who till now were operating under a legal guarantee? Government source also reveals that when donors bought these electoral bonds, they were given a legal guarantee that their names would not be disclosed. They donated without the fear of malicious targeting or unjustified mudslinging. Let's go across to Amitabh Sinha, lawyer of the Supreme Court, Shyam Prasad Meka, leader of the Congress Party, and Dr. Anand Ranganathan to join us on this one. The past bonds, are they likely to impact future ballot? And this question of when somebody donates or makes an e-bond donation in good faith, has the Supreme Court now grossly violated their right to privacy and their own rights, fundamental rights? That's where the argument stands. First up, Amitabh Sinha ji, are you for e-bonds or against them?
I am here as a practitioner of Supreme Court, and I am for the legal system and for the same yardsticks for every citizen of the India and every institution of the India. Thank you for giving me the chance to open this debate, and I really respect you for your positioning. My point is very clear. See, this particular situation today, which has happened or which has been developed today by the Supreme Court of India, with all respect and with all due honor to the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court, I am just trying to tell a few things which might go against the policies of the channel in general. But with full responsibility as a practicing lawyer of the Supreme Court, I am telling you a few facts.
Right.
So the yardstick should be the same for every citizen and every organization of this country. Okay? Article 19(1)(a), they have quoted the Chief Justice and his fellow judges. I am pointing out that what exactly was the spirit of this, that law. This law was to curb the role of black money, that is cash money,
right?
And this cash money must be stopped or restricted to play a role in a decisive manner in the electoral process. Fair enough. Now, see, the timing is also very important. I am again repeating. I might sound repetitive, but I am giving this statement with full responsibility of Amitabh Sinha as a practicing lawyer,
right,
not this channel.
Got it.
See, the timing, if the timing of the Supreme Court can be adhered or postponed for Ram Janmabhoomi in 2019, so this also should have been considered. But no, never mind. It happens. Now my point is that this particular judgment was addressing to the transparency clause, okay?
Right?
And the transparency for people who are donating in the political process. See, as per the IT Act, less than 50,000 of the donation, the cash transaction is allowed, and there is no problem.
Right.
But more than 50,000, this act was passed just to ensure that the black money should be eradicated and the fair arrangement will start. The SBI, the State Bank of India, in India, is one of the most important banks, and majority of the financial positioning in India depends upon SBI. So SBI is a very responsible organization. SBI has all the details of the donors.
Right.
Now the important question is, if Supreme Court, the bench of the Supreme Court thinks that SBI is not reliable, I think that this is a little too much. I am saying that if SBI is accountable in election commission case also, very famous election commission case, Supreme Court Chief Justice wanted that he should be part of the election commission process, but Government of India, took the amendment, and then Supreme Court has nothing to do with the selection of the election commission. But they had the doubt that election commission also can be partial.
Yeah.
So just like that, in the SBI also, they thought that SBI can be, impartial, or they can be, they are partial and they can support somebody. and government can
right,
get
but
the
Amitabh
information.
ji, I'll tell you what.
Say,
yeah. Please. Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Yes.
Okay. So my point is very clear. See, if Supreme Court is going for Article 19(1)(a), what happened in the Collegium case? Justice Lokur, a very respectable judge, he said that something has conspired and the decision was changed. I am not questioning the Collegium decision.
Right.
So my point is very clear. If the government has assured the donors that their identity will not be disclosed, because donors, the large donors, they have
so the legal guarantee or the guarantee that's been given by the government today stands voided by another constitutional entity. Amitabh ji, you'll have to yield because you have to make your point. Unfortunately, it's not like an argument that you're making in court where you'll get a long time, because I am bound by the paucity of time on this hearing that is in this segment or in this session. But let me please also say, the court could have said, Shyam Prasad Dekha ji, the court could have said, henceforth e-bonds are done. You do away with it from now. But by saying that you got to open up and you got to put out the list of those who have actually deposited money towards a political party in a bank. Amitabh ji, you're not audible right now, please wait. So in a bank, does that not violate the right of privacy or confidence that somebody was given and they made their thing? Yes, you may say in public knowledge, pata hona chahiye kaun kisko kitna paisa de raha hai aur kaun de raha hai.
No, it's very simple.
But it could have been done from henceforth rather than do it from palace. That's the point. Yeah.
I'll tell you. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to get into this long, winding, confusing argument. Okay, I'm not going to do an argument. Court has settled it. Now, the very simple thing is, as a citizen of a democracy, you and I, don't we have a right to know who is funding our political parties? The political parties which are making policies, which are making the political pitch for this country, don't we have a right to know who is funding whom? As simple as that.
Correct.
This thing is there since 1718 till today, which is actually a threat to the democracy.
Shyam Prasad Dekha ji.
Why are we even
Shyam Prasad ji, sorry to interrupt you. Please complete. I am just saying, I am with you, sir. I am with you that as a voter of this country, I want to know who is funding whom or who's donating to whom in terms of large donations. We'll keep that, all political parties should make that public. I am with you on that. But should it have been done in retrospective or it should be prospective going forward? Why? Because there could be people like me who in the confidence and the confidence or the legal guarantee given by the sovereign government of the nation that your identity will be kept secret, have made donations. Isn't their confidence, their legal guarantee, their trust broken by the Honorable Supreme Court today? Isn't their right to privacy that was upheld by the sovereign government been violated by the Honorable Supreme Court today? The court of our country is supposed to uphold a law, read a law and ensure a law is upheld. It cannot violate basic human principles too. There cannot be a contradiction there. That's my argument.
No. Yeah, you are arguing. Let me give you something. Yes, the court need to adhere to the law. If the law guaranteed them the privacy, we should uphold it. First of all, there is a law which is unconstitutional. Where is the question of it?
No, sir, the court has not deemed. The court first. Sir, Shyam Prasad Dekha ji, the court can deem the law unconstitutional from that particular day. It cannot go back into history and then say, deem the law. So are you trying to say that the Honorable Supreme Court today has the right to say, deem the insertion of the word secular and socialist into the preamble of our constitution when there was emergency in the country and democracy was in jail, and say this is unconstitutional and strike it off? Can the Supreme Court of India do that today?
Anand. Okay. Now, Anand, you are diverging.
No, sir. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Something that was done in the past, which you believe, can the court deem it unconstitutional? Say, go change it.
No, let me tell you. Okay. Since you mentioned that, see, the insertion of secular and socialist in the preamble is immaterial because...
Why? Of course it is material, sir. It's the preamble of our country. It's the preamble of our country. I'm just saying, was it done legally? Was it done as an act of parliament? Was it done during the time? So can the court, I'm asking you a simple question, will you agree with the Supreme Court if it decides that?
Will you allow me to finish one sentence at least? The Constitution of India is already secular and democratic without the words being in the preamble.
Then why were they forcefully inserted, sir? Again.
Okay, then why
So
are you talking about?
then the
why
courts
are you talking about it
can
now?
the
Talk
courts
about
rule about
electoral
it? Can
bonds.
the courts rule
What
about it?
about
Are you
electoral
saying that
bonds?
you will be okay if the Supreme Court rules about that today?
What about
Okay, Dr.
electoral
Ranganathan,
bonds? What
Dr.
is the
Ranganathan
debate
and
about?
Dekaji, I'll come back to you. So this is the case. The court
Yeah.
can say, henceforth the law is done, you cannot follow it. But can it retrospective go back and say, breach the right to privacy or the legal guarantee given by the government as an act of parliament? That's the question. Yes. Dr. Ranganathan.
Anand, I have three things to say on the issue of electoral bonds. Very briefly, number one, I welcome the Supreme Court decision. For years, I have been an advocate that electoral bonds should not be anonymous for the simple reason that the political parties that garner the anonymous donations seek the public's vote to get them elected. And after they are elected, the public has a right to know whether any of their actions subsequent to their coming to power are in the favor of any of the companies that donated to them anonymously. As an example, a political party gets our votes to get elected on the promise that it will maintain the forest land as it is. And then once it is elected, it allows a mining company to mine in that forest. The public has a right to know. Because we had a skin in the game. The public has a right to know whether that mining company gave millions or billions in donation to that political party.
Correct.
This goes to the heart of what is conflict of interest, and I'm aghast that politicians didn't get this. Number two, I disagree with the Supreme Court decision that the names that were anonymous should be disclosed retrospectively. It is unfair to the people who made the donations on the guarantee that they were to be anonymous. I don't like any law being applied retrospectively for this very reason, be it a retrospective tax, or remember Vodafone, which the Supreme Court struck down by the way,
Yes.
or a retrospective amendment that allows parties to escape FCRA violations like the BJP and the Congress did. If at all, if you must, those names of donors can be disclosed to the Supreme Court, and if the Supreme Court finds that millions or billions were given by someone who then directly benefited from the actions of a political party, Congress, BJP, TMC, the Supreme Court can act. Number three, I ask a simple question, very briefly, 30 seconds.
Right.
If I believe that a company is corrupt and illegal and should be shut down, what would you say if I were to continue to invest in that company and buy its stock? You would be appalled, wouldn't you?
Right.
Why is it then that the Congress and the Trinamuls that were outraging on the anonymity of the electoral bonds and wanted them to be scrapped, why is it that both these parties have got 10% of their funding from the electoral bonds? What kind of hypocrisy is this that allows them to be so shameless?
That's the politics and the hypocrisy of it. I am questioning simple right to guarantee that has been given by a sovereign government to an individual, and that breach of privacy and faith by the Supreme Court order. We are all for transparency in politics and donations. Let's do that. But should that be done in retrospective? That's where the question ends. And that's where we terminate this edition of The Right Stand. Stay with us. Brass Tacks follows after the break.
Co-presented by was ending up benefiting mainly the parties in power, be it in the center, which is the BJP, or be it in the states, whichever political party was in power. What is the electoral bond scheme? This was a scheme brought in by the former then Finance Minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, in 2018. When the rules were notified, the government had in fact said, and if I read those rules out, the government in fact had at that time said that this scheme is being brought about to ensure that this electoral funding is cleansed. That was the logic given by the government at that time, that you can buy any company, any individual can go and buy an electoral bond from the State Bank of India, and that bond they could give it to a political party which can encash it. The catch here was that the electoral bond would not carry the name of who is making that donation. So in a way, that anonymity was given to the donor. Neither the political party nor the donor needed to reveal the name of who had donated that money. Only the SBI, and by virtue SBI is under the government, only the government knew. That is what the petitioners say. And the petitioners say that led to a certain level of anonymity. Is there quid pro quo? Some petitioners had alleged in court, led by Prashant Bhushan and Kapil Sibal, that whichever company, that cap which was there on companies that they could donate to a certain amount was also